Hello, welcome all. A very good evening to all of you. And let's continue our journey. What is sprint planning? What are its components and how it is done? And what are the Scrum rules and details? And how each and every role is being played in this process. So it's a very interesting and very useful concept to know, which is highly, adaptable as well as it's very heavily used in the industry. So I'll just ask a quick question. Can any one of you, or rather all of you, can tell about a role, each role one by one, anyone can start, as you guys are there, three of you. So you can just start with any role you want to share. Just quick one or two liner, starting
Yeah,
with Scrum Master, Product Owner, and Development Team. So yeah, can we go one by one?
yeah. Can I start?
Yes, please go ahead.
I will say about the product owner. The
Okay.
role of product owner, as you know, is a quite important and the responsible one.
I'm
He
sorry.
has
I'm sorry.
the
Good
product
evening.
owner
I'm late
has the
today.
authority and
One second, Shoiba. Yeah, Babuji, you were saying something?
I'm sorry. I'm late today.
No worries. That we just started the session. We just started having the recap, so you haven't missed anything. No worries. Welcome to the session. Yeah, Shoiba.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
yeah. The product owner has the main authority and the capacity to alter the scope, as you have learned, and so as a Scrum team and the development team, which cannot change, the product owner has a full capacity to change the requirements of that project, and not.
Let me stop you there. Instead of saying this, you please use the word he has the capacity to alter scope. Okay, that's what we learned. He has capacity to alter scope, and that is definitely after discussion with
Yeah.
stakeholders. So it's not that if he has the capacity, that means he'll go and do it all the time. It's like he can do that after having a go ahead from the stakeholders and the customers. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I
Okay.
think that,
And
yeah, you want to add something or you're done?
yeah, I'm done.
Thank you so much, Shoiva.
Yeah.
I'm happy that you do remember the main points and how the role was explained. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, can we move to Nabila? Nabila, some one or two liners for any other role?
Okay, so Scrum Master, they
Okay.
enforce to organize Scrum ceremonies and processes, and they commit to goals and deadlines on behalf of the team.
Wow, that was quick and that was right. Yes, what you mentioned is absolutely right. They commit to goals and deadlines, and they also help the team on day-to-day basis for the same. Okay, that's also there. Super. Yeah, Babu would like to add something here.
Or are you talking about the Scrum or Scrum role recap?
No. See, before you join, as there were only there were three, so I told them to take each role and just share whatever you could remember or the highlights. So Shoiba started with product owner.
Okay.
Nabila mentioned about Scrum Master. So you can talk about any, as we are for your phone. You and Atul can talk about any of the role. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I can talk about the Scrum team. And so actually the Scrum team need to attend every stand-up and other ceremonies.
Wow, that's a good start. Yeah.
That is the one thing I remember.
No, but that's one of the very important thing to remember. Yeah. And along with that, the thing which I would always mention, that they have trust in each other. They are present in every meeting. So their inputs with respect to all the this item, work items is considered, right? So all that is there, and they're highly skilled. They are, they can manage themselves. Remember some. Are we guys throwing some light in the earlier session? Yeah. Are you able to brush it up? Hello. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. I have a statement. I'm sorry. I'm here.
Oh.
I'm just gonna be listening because my daughter woke up. I just have to put her right back to sleep. Okay. I'm
No
so sorry.
worries, no worries. Won't ask you any questions. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. If you have anything, you can message. Yeah. Yeah. So Akhil, would you like to add something here? Hello. Yeah, Akhil, would you like to add something here? Are you on mute, Akhil? Okay. Akhil, we can't hear you. Akhil, there is no sound from your end. I am not sure. Okay, fine. Let's go ahead. Today we have a lot of things to learn, which are very interesting. Okay. So Babu, can you please read out what is mentioned on the screen?
Sure. Where does sprint planning takes place? A good location for sprint planning is the team room so that you have access to all the information about your product backlog and you can reference and update any information radiators you may use.
You can be a little louder, please. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because,
sure.
little louder because in the
Sure.
record also the sound will come, low. That's why. Yeah.
Okay, it's okay. If your team is distributed, sprint planning represents a good opportunity to gather everyone together so that your planning discussions can be more effective and to reinforce the person-to-person connections of the team.
Okay, so what do they state? It's mentioned that your sprint planning should be generally at the team room, that is where everyone is located. And see, I mentioned in the last session that in the pre-COVID environment, it was encouraged to have all the team members at one place. But now, as we all know, we all are working virtually, most of us. So in this scenario, yes, definitely a Zoom meeting or a Teams meeting, any meeting wherein everybody is available, that is considered. So some of the more points for sprint planning is first of all, Scrum Master is the one who sends the invite or who arranges this meeting. Along with that, he also has to ensure that their calendars are available. That means all the essential people, starting with product owner and the entire development team, is available for the meeting. So according as per the availability, the invitation is sent. Okay. So this is only this much on this part, but this is very important, like how and where. So wherever there is a team room or team is located that time, and if it is in a distributed pattern, then they're encouraging team to meet because that's like a meet and greet for everybody. We get to know each other, but in current virtual scenario, that's absolutely fine once you connect from your own location. Okay, so that is what it mentions. It's quite easy and simple to understand. Yes. Akhil, can you start with this first two points? Or are we having some sound issue? Okay, Akhil left. I don't know, maybe some technical glitch at his side. Okay. Shoiba, can you please read out?
Yes. When does sprint planning takes place? Sprint planning occurs on the first day of a new sprint. The event should occur after the sprint review and the retrospective from the previous sprint, so that any output from those discussions can be considered when planning for the new sprint. It does not have to occur immediately after those other two events. You will find it will be best to place a higher priority on scheduling sprint planning when the entire team is available. You may find that it's best to have a standing, consistent time for the sprint planning so that your team can keep the time slot clear from other engagement. engagement.
Okay, so what it says is sprint. Okay, Akhil is back. He had some sound issue. Hey, hi Akhil, you back? Can you hear us now? And okay, he's there. Akhil, try to speak so we would know that your voice is clear. Okay, I guess there's some sound issue. That's fine, Akhil. You can chat. I just saw your messages now, not an issue. Maybe try to restart your sound or something, sound or microphone. I don't know, many a times. Or if in case you can just quickly restart your laptop, that works with me many a times. Okay. So what does this mean is that sprint planning occurs. Basically, sprint planning is the first day of any sprint. We do not start anything before planning, as we all know. How we used to plan for our exam preparation, right, Babu? Or Shoiba, sorry, before any exams, before 1 month,
Yes.
we got the
Yes.
timetable. So how we used to make, okay, what is tough? Geometry. I don't like geometry. So give more days to geometry. Okay,
Yeah.
easy. So at least finish it in 2 days. Like at least I used to do that. So 5 days for science or 2 days for history. So we used to have a plan wherein we used to have all the days allocated for studying, then revision, then any practicals, if any. So definitely we used to do all this before the exam, right? Because same way, a sprint planning happens before the sprint start, or rather it is the start of the sprint. And these two ceremonies will come in later. Those are called as sprint review and sprint retrospective. As the name suggests, sprint review is basically a session or the meeting for reviewing the sprint, what we have completed with the customer. So it's like you're giving the delivery to the customer of your work, and as well as you're also getting it reviewed from the customer. Okay, so that's called as sprint review. Sprint retrospective basically means, as the word suggests, you retrospect on whatever you have worked upon, what have you delivered. So it's basically sitting together and trying to understand what you could have done better, what you have learned from this, and how you can go ahead in this, and how better you can perform in the next sprint. So it's basically taking a stock of your own deliverables and working on yourself as a team, as an individual. So that is what it is called by sprint retrospective. So sprint planning occurs after these two events. So if there are any inputs, for example, if we had this discussion, okay, in the current sprint. So sorry, there was a drop. Okay, in the current sprint, there is, our speed of development was a little lagging or little slow. So we have to speed up the process. So for that, we'll have to extend our daily work schedule by maybe an hour or so. So that can be, this was a finding in sprint perspective, and this can be implemented in, sadly, no, Akhil, we can't. I can't, at least. Can anybody hear Akhil, by the way?
No.
Okay, I'll just mention no. Nobody could hear you. Okay. So basically, Akhil can hear us, but he cannot, his voice is not audible. Okay, so this happens, technical glitches happen with me. Sure, it says restarting. Okay, so this is what was why I wanted to highlight by this. And
Can you please come again about the sprint
after this,
review?
sorry, yeah.
Can you please come again with the sprint review? What does sprint review means?
Okay, so how we okay, for example, once you give any exam, what do you do once you come home or come out of the classroom? You check the question paper, and you try to have this hypothetical marks, you give to yourself, like, okay, out of this question I'll get 5, out of this question I'll get 3. So out of 100, you have a tentative score of your question, your answer sheet. You remember the days when you used to give exam and come out and just, count, oh, I'll get this much, I'll get this. So in this subject, I should get, maybe 85 out of 100. So what did you do? You reviewed your paper, right? You reviewed your question sheet with the answer that you have submitted. Remember, maybe Babu, you could correlate more in accounting. If you know that your balance sheet has tallied, you are gonna full 15 to 20 marks, right? If it is not tallying, if it is close to that, but if it has all the components mentioned, all the assets and liabilities already properly mentioned, then you'll at least get maybe 10 or 12 marks, right? So this is to have an estimate or maybe a guesstimate. Remember?
I understand. Okay, now I understand.
Yes. So this is what we do. But in the review, it is more of a formal thing, wherein all these things are discussed internally, but in the review, you give presentation to the customer. Okay, whatever I mentioned, that was more of a part of retrospective, but also in review, you give the highlights of the session, like, we have implemented this, we delivered this in so soon, we have done this thing. So basically, you kind of give presentation and review of your work to the customer. So customer is also a part of it. Okay, this is what highlight. And best place to a higher priority scheduling sprint planning when the entire team is available. So basically, your availability of team is very important for this role. And Babu, can you please read out the last point?
Sure. You may find that it is the best to have a standing consistent time for sprint planning so that your team can keep the time slot clear from other engagements.
Absolutely. So this, this basically means, and it may sound very simple, but then having all the people available at the same time is one of the biggest tasks, because we know product owner has so many responsibilities. He talks with the stakeholders, senior management and stuff like that. And whereas your Scrum team also might be busy in their current work. So managing all them and having the availability so that everybody can join in is a very important task. Okay. Yeah. So I think this is clear. We can go to the next slide, right?
Yes.
This similar understanding only. Then the entire topic today is sprint planning. So whatever we are learning in one slide, we're gonna repeat or learn the similar thing in some other context. So don't worry, you will not miss on anything. Yeah. Akhil, can you try to read out this part if you can? Okay, and now don't say, look, I have some problem with my mic. Okay, fine, not an issue. So yeah, Shoiba, can you please read out the first part?
This one we have already seen.
Okay, this one is fine, huh? This is only with the picture. Okay. More effective than the, okay. So here, the second point is quite interesting. If the team is distributed, it represents a good planning.
Sprint planning represent.
Come together and have a discussion. And this one is, it is more effective than one-to-one connection. So it's like having a one-to-one discussion, won't be that effective, whereas when we are together. So this picture, remember, like how we have multiple people sitting in one room and discussing all these ideas. Okay, there are less people, but that's fine for your understanding. Okay. Now this is very important. So what is the sprint planning checklist, sprint planning meeting checklist from all of you? Guys, you just read this out. I'll just request, Babu to start with Scrum Master, and then now today only both of you are talking. So 1 second. Yeah, I can hear you, but don't know what's happening. Okay. Akhil is saying that he can hear us all clearly, but yeah, Babu, can you please start the Scrum Master part?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Video conference, screen share, and or Polycom access information setup and shared. Schedule meeting space. Prepare and publish agenda. check calendars for companies' holidays, training events, travel and employee time off. For tackle Airfax, replenish supplies of makers, post-its, 3x5 cards, pens, pins, etc.
Okay.
This is a very small. If you can make it a little bit bigger, others can read. I believe the screen what you are sharing is with the. It's hard to read. It's very small.
Thank you, Babu, for reading it out. So if you could see, this is very simple and easy to understand. Take a picture of this diagram wherein you'll be able to, before going to the interview or before having any discussion, if you just glance through this, I'll just start in the reverse order. Development team is basically updates the team's definition of done as needed and make sure it's easy to reference during the meeting. So basically, it's like whatever things have to be done, that's called as definition of done. We'll study it in later in detail. So they are the people who do the actual groundwork, the development part, every task, requirement, development. So they have this with them ready, that what all things they have already worked upon, or what is their I would say strength. Hey, someone spoke. Okay, I'll just request others to go on mute. Shoiba, Akhil, were you talking?
No, I'm just trying this. Hold on a second. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, now what is happening? You have to mute your other device's sound as well. You're muted, but even the speakers have to be muted on the other device.
1 moment, please.
Hear you, because there is an echo. Okay. Fine. So going back to the next point is product owner. So see, product owner is a whole and sole person who manages the product backlog. And what's the product backlog? We will see. Okay, not we'll see. I'll just show you only so you'll have a better clarity. That's why I have this images and pictures. Okay, can you see? I know. I really find these I don't know, cartoons or these pictorials quite funny, but they're very relatable. Can you see this guy?
Yes.
Both are
Yes.
product owner
Yes.
and yeah, along with them definitely Scrum Master. But assuming now he's a senior guy, so he is a product owner. And can you see this checklist kind of thing? So now that is a product backlog. So the other day I was trying to share that with you, that this is how it looks, wherein you have all these items that we are going to work on mentioned. Okay, so this Akhil, there is a very long echo. What I was saying is, please, mute your sound also. You have muted your microphone, that's fine. But you are logged or log out from the other earlier device. That will be great because I could see two people.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes. Now it's all clear. Thank you so much, Dad. Really, really good efforts. We could hear you. I hope
I think
anything.
there's some problem with my laptop. So what I've done
It
is
happens. It happens.
my laptop screen is on, but I'm talking on my phone. So
That's okay. I do that
yeah.
often in my office meetings for teams, it's okay. You can see the screen, right?
Yeah, the screen is on laptop and I've got a parallel one on the phone, so I can talk on the phone.
Great. Fine. Sometimes it happens. Just ensure your microphone and your sound setting post this session. Okay.
I'll check that out. Yeah.
Yeah. Great.
Okay.
So I was just saying, today we are learning about sprint planning and individual role in detail. It's quite similar to what we have understood earlier, but quite much in detail with a lot of diagrams and with some more understanding. Okay. So yes, product owner basically ensures that the product backlog items are ready. So this means all these items mentioned here all these items mentioned here are ready for the discussion. And he's the owner, and he's the person who manages all this. So only he has access. See, basically, why this is done, I really wanted you guys to ask this question. Why this is done is, it's better if only one person handles that. Okay, if tomorrow Scrum Master and development team can also come and maybe uh, add, delete, update this sheet. So there is no uniformity, right? Some person can just they don't do that, but they can just go and remove some of the line items or requirements which might be important. So that is why it is like a very important, I would say, depository of requirements. So that's why it's called as product backlog. And only product owner can update that. So yes, ensure backlog item candidates are ready according to team's definition, or ready if a definition of ready exists for the team. That means if the team is comfortable to work on them, they can prioritize. We have the skill set for that, and then we can work on it. Okay. Make sure the skills, yeah, see, I just mentioned skills. Make sure the skills and capabilities of team members are known and are generally aligned with the needs of the backlog or the candidate for the sprint. So this simply means that whatever the customer is asked for a requirement, like for example, if they're asked for some particular design, some animation or some sound effect, some video effect they want, then we have to ensure that we have a person who can work on this, who has the background, who has already worked on this. Fine? Easy to understand?
Yes.
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 It's actually quite simple, okay? Now coming to the Scrum Master part. So yes, video conference, screen share, and room access, information setup. So his basic responsibility is to first set up and manage this meeting, schedule this meeting, schedule the meeting space. That means if it is a physically people are meeting, then definitely book a conference room. See, in bigger organizations, all this is very process oriented. You have to, maybe there is a portal, or you'll have to call at a reception and book a particular conference room, because there's so many meetings happening. Other teams, other people also want to have a conference room. I myself, used to do this for our meetings, and trust me, it was a hell of a task. There was double booking, and people extending their meetings during the time of your meeting. So whatnot, it's very adventurous, but it is very important, because these are like closed room meetings. So you have your project start meeting. So better you have in a conference room. So that is the science behind it. Check calendars for holidays, trainings, and so basically check everybody's availability and set up the meeting. And last but not the least, fact artifacts, replace supplies, so post-its, markers, pens, and all that. So basically, the poor guy or the our servant leader has to ensure that everything is available and your meeting is ready. Meeting room is ready to have the meeting. You got it? So basically what we mentioned about Scrum Master, how he manages the meetings and also he actually does all the groundwork. So starting from arranging a room, ensuring the room has enough pens and markers and whiteboards, because we will be having a discussion, a detailed one. So all this is required. Okay, are we good? Can we move to the next slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now, this is very important, that how the structure is planned. So I'll just request Akhil to read out the part. Yeah, Akhil.
Yeah, hi. Can you guys hear me now?
Loud and clear.
Yes.
Super. So how
Yeah.
sprint planning is structured? Sprint planning is typically split in two parts. Part one is the scope. The team selects which items from the prioritized list of ready product backlog items, usually expressed as user stories. They forecast they will be able to complete during the sprint. Here's a sample agenda for the first part of the sprint planning. Um, what is the goal for the sprint? Use this as a decision filter to determine which product backlog items to include in the sprint, what product backlog items are ready and contribute towards the sprint goal.
Okay, can you all just share what do you understand from this in the scope part?
They're basically trying to define the goal for the sprint
Mm-hmm.
and use that as a you know I mean, like the word says, like use that as a decision filter to determine if
Yeah.
there are any product items, the product backlog items to be included.
Okay. What about Babu and Shoiba?
So
Typically,
Listening. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
go ahead, Shoiba.
yeah, you can, Babu. You can.
Okay. So ultimately, they said that their goal has to prioritize the task about the backlog.
That is important. See, basically what it means is, Akhil correctly said that we are here for the goal. But what Babu said in the first line just hits the jackpot. It's like, we see, assuming we have a product backlog of 100 items, but that doesn't mean you're going to work on all those items at once. You have to prioritize them, right? So same way, yeah, continue, Babu. You were on the right track. I really like the way you start.
Based on the goal, they have to based on the list, they have to
Mhm.
see whether they are going to achieve the goal according to the priorities that the backlog items on the sprint item.
Right. However, Shoiba, want to add something here?
No, so as Babu told, we have to prioritize the which product backlog
Right.
basis of the priority, like high priority, low priority, and which will contribute to the goal, so that are ready to contribute towards the sprint goal. We have to take that product items which will be help to for sprint goal.
Yes. Yes. So what is the goal for the sprint? So basically, the prioritized set of requirements from our product backlog is the will be your ultimately your sprint goal. So basically, if you have 100 line items in the product backlog, and we decided to work on the 25 high priority one which customer asked for. Okay, so now achieving those 25 goals and delivering that product and that functionality is your sprint goal. Is it clear? It is that simple. See, people are on internet sometimes it's so mentioned in such a vague manner that it's very difficult to understand, but it is this easy to understand actually. Okay, so this is your sprint goal, and in the further sessions also we'll learn about it. Okay, so how is sprint planning structured? So yeah, Babu, can you please read this out?
I'm
Babu, can-
back, just so you know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Okay.
So can you talk, Nabila?
Yeah, I'm fine now. Thank you.
Great. I think your baby has slept. Great. So read out the first part, please. Yeah.
You want me to read it? Okay. It says, who is available for the sprint? Identify any vacations, holidays, other activities that will impact everyone's availability during sprint.
Okay, next part as well.
Okay, sorry. What is the team's capacity based on everyone's availability? What items will the team include on the sprint backlog based on sprint goal and the team's capacity? How confident does the team feel that they'll be able to meet the sprint goal?
Thank you so much, Nabila. So basically what it says is, starting from very simple things like, is the team available? You remember I was talking about people going on vacation for their marriage or maybe for some personal work or maybe, some health issues or some family concerns. So all these things have to be considered, okay, before planning. Because see, imagine tomorrow if we are a Scrum team and maybe say, we are working together and then Babu decides to visit India, he has some family function or family get together, and then Akhil says, okay, let me join with you. I also have some business to finish in India. So if we have, like out of the team of 6, if 2 of the members are not available, then definitely we'll have to replan, right? Because it's like around 30% bandwidth is gone. Like, 2 people out of 6 is quite a major chunk. So in same way, if we have a team of 6 people and, if their availability, so that way, if they're available, then only the work will be distributed and, we can work as per the priority and stuff like that will happen. And also as per the availability, or like, when we know that everybody is there, they will be a part of the sprint from start to end. We give them the work based on the priority in sprint backlog. So it's simple as that. If all are present and these are our, this is our product backlog. Product backlog can also be, or in a sprint, it is also mentioned as a sprint backlog. So basically what happens, assuming we have 10 sprints, okay, 10. So in first sprint, whatever we mentioned, it's in the product backlog. So what happens out of the first sprint, assuming there are 10 items, and out of those 10 items, 2 items are remaining, or the customer says there's a low priority item, we can take that later. So now, along with the 8 completed, 2 pending items are also mentioned here. They go into product backlog. In the next sprint, also you have 10 line items, and out of the you only complete 5 because they are very critical and very important, and other 5 goes into here. So what do you do? What you got there, that out of the sprint backlog of 10 items, you pushed 5 items in the product backlog. So it's like every sprint what you work on can be called a sprint backlog, which is a very not so widely used term, but product backlog itself is a very widely used term. Okay, because you have it's like a container of all your resources for your entire sprint. Fine. So is there any doubts on that? Today, I don't hear any doubts much. I know it's easy, but if you still have any doubt, please ask. And
because this one we have discussed earlier, so when we see the slides now, we can able to correlate.
I am so happy you can, because this is what I was looking for, because understanding is really more important. And that's why I have a lot of diagrams also today. So, and I'll encourage you to take pictures of these diagrams, because these things are very important from interview point of view when you talk. So, even if you look at the diagram, like if you look at this diagram and you have pictures of these people in your mind, and you will be able to talk. Okay, so this is my goal. So let's go to, so the last point which is important is, how confident does the team feel that they'll be able to meet the sprint goal? This is also very important. So it's not only product owner and Scrum Master shouting at top of their voices that, okay, we'll do this, we'll do that. It has to be the team who has to, sorry, give a go, no go. So yeah, I can do this, we can do that, or we can achieve that. So that is why, though there is a hierarchy, but everybody in this team is very important. Everybody's part is essential. Everybody's contribution matters. Okay, this is how the sprint is. Now going to the next point. Yes, Akhil, can you read this? Plan.
Yeah, sure. So part
I was actually scared for a second when there was no sound. I was like, no, not again.
No, I'm just
Go ahead.
struggling between
Yeah.
2 devices. So,
Yes,
mute,
yes,
unmute,
yes.
mute, unmute kind of a thing.
I
So,
understand. Yeah, go ahead.
all right. So, how is sprint planning structured? Part 2 is the plan. The team discusses in more detail how they will deliver the selected product backlog items. This may, but does not have to, include identifying tasks for the product backlog items, whether there are any dependencies between the items, and signing up for initial product backlog items that each team member works on.
Okay. So yeah, thank you for reading this out. So basically, the team discusses in detail that what they'll work on out of the product backlog, and this can or cannot include some tasks on product backlog wherein they can see. For example, when we talk of product backlog, as I was mentioning earlier, you will have backup in that product backlog from each different sprints, right? So there can be tasks, or rather there are tasks which are not connected to each other, which are not dependent on each other. So basically, every team member or the entire team has to argue that there can be some tasks, not argue, sorry, agree that there can be some tasks which are not correlated, but then as they're a part of product backlog and as they're prioritized by the customer, they have mentioned that it is important, we'll work on them. Okay, so tomorrow if we are working on something and see, maybe I am a team member, I just cannot come and say, hey, no, but there is no task is not related to what I was working on this sprint. How can I work on this different task? It's simply that it is there, it is prioritized, and you have to work on it. Right? So that is why this understanding part, that not everything is going to be codependent and correlated, but then whatever is high priority as per the customer and that can be taken up, we'll work on that. So this is what it says. Okay, fine. This is also fine. How the plan works as per customer priorities and as per the line items of the requirements mentioned in the product backlog. Okay. So product backlog is a new word, but then I have shown you the picture, how it looks. So I think you will have a better understanding. Have you taken a picture of this slide? If not, please take, I'll give you a minute. Till you have your phone handy, take a picture of this. Nabila, Shoiba. I actually made a new name. Wow. So Shoiba, Nabila, and Babu, you also. I'll just recommend taking a picture. And if you could draw, or if you could, instead of people, just have this later in your notebook, like this is a product backlog and all these things. So this will be really important. Okay. Yes. Now going to another picture. This is also very important. Take a pic, because it's very easy to understand, and this is basically your entire sprint planning. Okay, so can anybody identify who all are there in these pictures? There's nicely names written, so it's very easy. Yes, go ahead, everybody and anybody.
Product owners, Scrum Master, development team.
Oh yes, you mentioned all of them. See, you can see the development team members are different, right?
Yes.
I mean, their hair color is different, their attire is different, there is a girl also. So basically that simply means we have highly skilled people of different skill set. Then we have a Scrum Master who is quite close to the development team. Can you see? You will always see product owner at one side with his product backlog, because this is what it, because that is what it is. That is what it is in a way that he manages that, which is very crucial. And you'll mostly see a Scrum Master and development team going hand in hand, going together. Okay, because they work very closely. Always remember this. So if you can see, it's like creating the product backlog. Again, this is like the backlog item. We have this already, and we've created in the sprint planning. And then sprint planning. See, sprint planning generally should take 6 to 8 hours. So basically, for a month or more than a month of sprint, like maybe if your sprint is more than 4 weeks or like that, you have to have at least minimum 6 to 8 hours, or at least a 1 day sprint planning. This is how the correlation goes. So if your project is far bigger than that, then you can actually have more time for this, because before starting the project, we have to ensure that the planning is done thoroughly. Okay. So yeah.
Yes.
The sprint planning, and this is the sprint backlog. So out of this entire I would say storage, or entire this collection, this is the collection for this particular sprint. And then from here, you start working. So see all these important pointers which you're supposed to say in the interview, or the concepts that you're supposed to know, or this are just mentioned here. It simply means that you have your daily Scrum meetings or your stand-up meetings. I just mentioned those meetings last time. Can anybody just throw some light at what are those meetings and what all we discuss in those meetings? So my question is, what is a stand-up meeting and what do we discuss in that? I have explained that and I hope you remember. If you don't, I'll reiterate, but I just want to know what all you remember. So there are 3 questions to be asked in this meeting. What are these? What are those? Quite simple, guys.
So they will discuss about the backlogs, and they'll discuss about the goals on the meeting.
Stand-up meeting, Babu, stand-up meeting. What do you
Meeting.
a sprint planning meeting?
Sprint planning.
Okay,
What is sprint planning?
Yeah,
Okay.
so stand-up
Sprint
meeting,
review.
remember?
Sprint.
Okay,
I
I can
have
tell
3
you.
questions.
Yeah. I remember it. What did you work on earlier days, and what is that you are going to work today, and if there is any issues or problem to discuss?
Now this is so good. Superb. Superb. This is what I wanted to hear and you said. So yes, very well explained. That's really nice. So this is what we learn in stand-up meeting. Now going to what is this? Analyze, design, and build that simply means that we understand what the requirements are, what is the design, how we're going to take care and how we're going to work on it, right? So basically this is the development part. Then we move to the testing of that particular sprint. Then we have the sprint retrospective meeting among ourselves, and then we have the sprint review to the customer, right?
Yes.
I want you to draw this or actually take a picture and take a moment to understand this. Yeah, guys, have you taken a picture of it or understood the process?
Yes.
Because this is gonna be repetitive. This is what the crisp of sprint planning, or if your entire sprint, the deployment or development is, that's why there are proper arrows, there are words mentioned, sprint backlog, product backlog, and planning, everything. Yeah. So I'll just move to next. I'll come to this later. First, I'll go to this. Yeah. So I'll just request Shoiba to read this out.
Yes. Scrum Sprint. Scrum Sprint is a repeatable fixed time box during which a done product of the highest possible value is created. Sprint lies at the core of the Sprint Agile methodology and can be thought of as an event which wraps all other Scrum events like Daily Scrum, Scrum Review, and Scrum Retrospective. Sprint is one time-boxed iterations of a continuous development cycle. Within a sprint, a planned amount of work has to be completed by the team and make ready for review. Scrum projects are broken down into small and consistent time intervals referred to as sprints. They can be as short as a few days and generally are not longer than 3 to 4 weeks.
Thank you for reading this out, Shoiba. So basically this means, see here the word is repeatable and time boxed, okay? Time box is a very important word. Basically this means, as we learned earlier, that every sprint is of 4 weeks only. So we know what is the time limit we have. And in that time limit, we have to achieve our Scrum goal or our sprint goal, sorry. That means whatever functionalities, requirement that we are going to work, we have to complete in this given time. Okay, and now there is slight deviation only when the customer asks for any particular high priority ask or requirement, then we can change or update. But apart from that, whatever has been discussed in your sprint meeting, sprint planning meeting, we work as per that. So that's why sprint lies at the core of the sprint agile methodology. Means all these events, they may look and sound very simple, the daily Scrum meetings and Scrum review and Scrum sprint retrospective, but they are very important and they actually form the main, I would say, understanding or main spirit of the sprint. Okay, this is how the sprint works. Fine. Any doubts in this?
No.
Yes. So guys, I just wanted to highlight this word is, mentioned quite a few times at a time box. So time box simply means whatever work we are delivering, as it's a agile setup, we are very tightly knit with the duration. So however we work, the deliveries, we have to keep an eye on our timelines, because trust me, sprints, they may sound like, okay, there's 4 weeks of sprint, but if you look closely, there are hardly 5 working days in a month. Okay, so even if you miss 1 or 2 days, your schedule can go haywire and it can get pushed, which is not expected or not not a great start or way to handle agile. So that's why we have to have maybe some backup resources, or if any time, if at some time you feel that you will not be able to complete or you will not be able to finish, we have to ensure that we put in extra hours or simply manage our work better. Okay, so this is what it means. And it's a continuous development cycle. Means you have sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3. So every sprint you just keep achieving your goal and going ahead. That's very important. Okay. Yeah. So Scrum projects are broken down into small and consistent time intervals that are sprints. And yes, this is the kind of a repetition. But if you see, I think you have noticed, maybe I think Babu or might have noticed, I'm not sure why I'm saying, because in accounting, we have such kind of definitions. This is all what we've already learned, but little bit in a brushed up manner, in a better manner. I think Shoiba and Akhil will also agree. So here, instead of saying that we have a sprint of 3 to 4 weeks, what it says that Scrum projects are broken down into small and consistent time intervals referred to as sprints. Okay. So it simply means that you have, when we call a particular dish, starting like sorry Akhil, but I have to give this food example. When we have that, it's a great blend of basmati rice with this Mediterranean lentil, along with some chosen spices, and with a great blend of taste, and topped up with coriander. You know what I just described? I just described a dal khichdi for you. So I hope you get the meaning. What I'm trying to say is the same concept, but it explained in a very not exotic, but in a very proficient and with right terminology. So you understood what we did there. So in interviews and discussions, we're supposed to use this word time box or iterative or consistent time intervals. So that's why these are like the keywords. So you can jot them down in your book, or just remember them for the future discussions you may have. Okay, fine.
Yes.
Kill me, Prerna, if you want to,
Yeah.
but stop using the food examples.
but were you able to correlate? I could have just started with saying that I am experiencing dal khichdi, but no, the basmati rice, the lentils, and the flavors and the aroma. And you know, they actually put this kind of stuff in the menu also, and then you ultimately realize it was this simple dish. So this is what it is
Yeah.
in a exquisite packaging, because the concept is same, right? Concept that you studied for last 3 sessions, it is the same, but the wordings is different. Okay, Shoeva. Okay, Nabila. Okay, Babu. Any questions?
Yes.
No questions.
Okay. No, I understand this is quite easy, and that's why I'm also able to understand that you don't have any doubts. Okay, so here again the same diagram. This diagram you will see quite often on Google. So that's why I've included. So it's basically, see, it's like the project vision. That means like what you wanted to work on. It's basically all that stakeholders and senior management's inputs along with the product owner. And then you have your planning meeting, then your deployment, your implementation. In implementation, you have your daily scrum. See, the implementation part is so big. Now, if Vandana was there, she would ask now, you know, can we call it development? So yes, we can call it development, implementation. As I mentioned, it goes hand in hand. Then we have the sprint review, then we have the sprint retrospective, and then we are done. So it's like a loop, like a ongoing loop. Sprint planning, deployment, and all that. Fine. Good with this? Yes, again, more pictures doing the same thing, but I really like this because see, this is what I want to highlight. Now, this is the product owner and majority of his important responsibility or task is to manage product backlog. Okay. Now, there can be a typical interview question where an interviewer will ask, can there be more than one product backlog? So I would like you to answer that. What do you think? Can there be more than one product backlog?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And do you think how that would work?
We have to prioritize which is more important.
Okay. And anything else you want to add in here? Babu, what are your thoughts? Okay, let me rephrase the question. First of all,
Yeah, can you just we
the
didn't
answer
get
is
that
right
question.
that you can have more than one product backlog. Now, let me rephrase the question. Is it advisable to have more than one product backlog?
No.
Yes. Who said no?
Babu. Me.
Yes. So it's like simply like, you know, it's like you can do that, but it is not advisable. So it's like you can have ice cream in winter season, but it is not advisable. You can go for a swimming in a cold lake or maybe, you know, in a cold weather, but it is not advisable. So in similar way, and I'll give you the reason also. Though there can be more than one product backlog, but it is not advisable. Mostly only one product backlog is followed because it is very difficult to keep them in consistency. Okay, you'll have to keep updating both of them, keep adding data into both of them, and you know, and why to have replicas or extra copies when you can maintain one? You know, if tomorrow the particular project owner leaves the organization or he's not in that project anymore, it will be so difficult for the other person to come and manage that. Okay, so this is a very interesting question which people ask, that how can there be more than one? So you can always answer yes, there can be, but it is not recommended from the sole purpose of managing and maintaining and having that a central repository. That's why we are calling it at central, right? That everything will be available there and it will be managed properly. So everybody can go and refer to it. Okay. And that is why we don't encourage others to work with product backlog. Only product owner is dedicated and he's responsible for managing, updating, removing items from product backlog. Okay. Now see, this dude is sitting here. I don't know why, but this looks funny with a laptop. But actually, we used to do this, okay? In our earlier organizations, in a conference room, if there is a desk or something like, if there is a small chest or half cupboards, where for keeping files and stuff, we used to actually sit on that with a laptop if there are less chairs. So that's kind of, I can relate to this guy. So yes, you do a lot of planning, and finally, you achieve the sprint goal. I know that's little dramatization. Nobody has a flag in the office, but yeah, just to convey the idea. So are we good?
Yes. Can you go back to the slide? Can you go back to
Already
the slide?
learned? Yeah. Any doubts? Yeah.
Can you go back to the slide 35? I need to take a picture of that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Whatever we've learned, the project vision is basically what you want to achieve in this project, or from the organization perspective. This is a release planning, as in, for example, we have to foresee in, that there can be 10 sprint or 12 sprint, and then you start with the sprint one. So that way, just getting a stock, though it changes, though the time duration changes, but yeah, this is in detail one, that's what I've mentioned.
Thank you.
Let me know you want to know something more in this.
Thank you.
Yes, Babu?
Thank you. I took the picture. Thank you.
You can take a picture of this. And if you have
I did. Thank you.
later also, that's not an issue. Fine.
Thank
Can
you.
we move to the next
Yeah,
slide?
you can move on to the next slide, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, super. Thanks. Yeah. So this is again, now this is, okay, I really wanted this word to come, and now we're happy. So during the sprint, there is a development team that comprises of cross-functional members. Now, it has been mentioned here, but still I'll ask for your detail once I read this out. So cross-functional members who are capable of achieving the sprint goals. This could include the software engineers, architects, programmers, analysts, admins, QA, testers, and designers. So basically what it says, so from this statement, guys, what do we understand when we say cross-functional members?
Because it means people have different expertise.
Sorry?
People with their different capacity, with the expertise. Cross-functional.
Yes. Here, if you see, a QA is a quality analyst, a tester does the testing, programmers are developers, analysts are like us, they analyze the project and understand the process. Architects are the people who are who work on the design and architect of the application, and software engineers are there can be hardware and software, one that deal with the machinery and one that deal with the coding part. So you see, UI designers are again the people who make the website, how it will look and feel, the color and the design and the imaging and the animations and the extra effects and stuff. So basically, in this entire slide, cross-functional members is the word. That is what we have to highlight and remember. So cross-functional member means the members, they are coming from different departments, and they have the capacity and understanding of their own work, and as a team they are more productive, because everybody's assumingly expert in their field, and once they come together, definitely there is a lot of brainstorming and new ideas and great implementation. So this is the best mix of team that we look at. I'll give a very simple and close to my heart example that many a times your best friend is the opposite of you. Many a times, at least that is in my case. I have a best friend from school. She's a doctor, and we've been friends for more than 24 years now. We just started when we were in school, and we were the same, exactly opposite of each other. Okay, if I was an extrovert, she was a very good introvert. If I was talkative, she was very quiet. Rather, she was, now she's not. So if I like this particular subject, but then those non-similarities or those differences kind of made us so much compatible, that see, this is what happens. Even this happens in real life. Many of your partners, and that is also true with me again, they are very different from you. But that is what adds a charm to the life or charm to the process. Imagine if I have two best or two expert QAs or architect. Most of the times is actually spent upon arguing the things, because they might have the similar approach, or they might have the same perspective or whatnot. So that's why when you have blend of people, you have some more ideas, some different and new innovative things to discuss. That is why we encourage our team members to be taken up from different teams, different backgrounds, different expertise level. So that is why everybody can have their own set of, like even in this team, right? Babu has accounting background, and Akhil has maybe service industry background. Vandana had some of the IT background. Nabila had some entertainment industry background, and Shoiba has the hospital and medical care background. So that is why any and every example would be suitable to some of you, or you can correlate from your background. So isn't it the great blend, if I have to ask? So our team is actually a very good candidate to be a Scrum team, right? He
Yes.
agrees? Yeah, should we nominate ourselves as one of the best Scrum team in Guru schools, and let's go ahead with the project? I think we should. And we would later on, but not a full-fledged project, but a project for your understanding. Okay. So can I move to the next slide?
Okay.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. Yes, this is also we have learned that the sprint planning meetings length is kind of proportional to what is the sprint duration. So if a sprint duration is more than a month, like more 4-week sprint, then you'll have at least 6 to 8 hours meeting. And depending on how long the sprint is, you will have the sprint meeting. Generally, it's a 4-week sprint, and the meeting should not be more than 8 hours. Definitely it should. It says now all these things are like the advisory things, or they are advice, but then there can be some deviation in real life. Your meeting can go till 9 hours if you're continuing in a particular day, you want to finish something in the same day. So it's not hard and fast, but yeah, by the rules, by the book, it should be 8 hours, and a week sprint should not be planned. And okay, imagine if you have a sprint of 1 week. Okay, imagine, mostly don't have, but just imagine for your understanding purpose. If you have a sprint of 1 week, okay, that's like 5 working days. So for that 5 working days work, your sprint planning meeting should not be more than 2 hours. Right? You just can't have a 1 or 2 day sprint planning meeting for a work of 4 days, right? Makes sense, guys?
Yes.
You understand what we're trying to say here?
Yes.
Yes, Babu. Yes. How about Akhil, Shoiba?
Yes.
And Nabila, you can message if you can. Yes. So this is what it tries to say. Whatever your sprint, if your sprint is smaller, you are supposed to have, or even rather your meeting would be small, and vice versa. Okay. So this meeting determines what is the team's capacity, velocity, and and as per that we can work on the product backlog and sprint backlog. So as per your team's, I would say, capacity, understanding, expertise level, availability, and all that, your work has been structured and it is delivered. So this is what it is about, what you have to decide about before sprint. Okay, before sprint you have to ensure what like how well your team is equipped, how skilled they are, and how much is the sprint duration, how the work is planned, and then ultimately you achieve that. Again, one more picture because I like and they're easy to visualize. So you have your product backlog, you have your sprint planning meeting, you have your sprint backlog. So can you see your user story? Can anybody say user story? Yeah.
What?
Do you know what is a user story, guys?
User story.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you understand by user story?
Is it a use case?
You can just explain what you feel.
Is that a use
Uh,
case?
In the story we create what we will be doing. As
So-
an developer, they can make a user story. As an Scrum Master, they can make a story that we will walk in this. The product owner can also make a user story.
Okay. And anything more?
Is user story the use case?
Okay. See, basically, user story means that whatever requirements you have, those are mentioned in the form of story. So that is why it is called as user story, because it is explaining all this to you. So it's not that they'll just write in a plain word, but there'll be some details around it. Okay. So we'll
No,
come to-
wait, I'm sorry. And
Yeah. Okay, so basically why it is just the terminology here mentioned is called as user story, means these are the requirements given by user and they are kind of structured like a story format. It's not a story like an actual story, like a cartoon story or something, but it means the explanation, the understanding
Acquire the details
mentioned
of
in a
the
detailed
requirement.
format as per the client requirement, and that's why it is called as user story. Okay. The terminology used here is called as a user story. So user story basically means, you remember in school in English, especially for the language papers, you used to have some paragraphs, and then there used to be some questions that you are supposed to answer from the paragraph.
Yes, yes.
yes,
Yeah, paragraph reading kind of section, similar way. So there is a detailed explanation of this requirement mentioned, and then from that you have to derive the workings. Okay, so this is what it means in short. Are we good?
user as
Let's-
client or
yeah.
user as in the person who's going to use whatever you're making for them.
User is a kind of a universal term. It's simply, this is basically why it is called as user story is right, because you're developing something for the ultimate end user, that is your client, right?
Right.
So that is why it is called as user story. So this
Okay.
is what they expect us, and we are going to work on that way.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry.
Sorry? Yeah, do you have any doubts, or you're okay with this?
No, I'm okay. I'm okay. Thank you.
Okay, welcome. So this basically means, guys, if tomorrow I want to have some functionality like, that our Facebook lookalike website example, I actually want to have be able to start a podcast, live podcast like which we have nowadays. So maybe earlier they were not there, and I want to start that. So for that, I'll give my requirements that I should be able to go live. There should be live streaming on this website. Other people should be able to join me. They should be able to send messages in chat. I will not allow others to talk definitely in a podcast, but yeah, there should be messages. So all these things are requirement, and on all those collection of requirements will be called as my user story for creating a podcast in my application. Okay?
Yes.
You able to correlate to this?
So in other words, it's an approach to acquire the details of the requirement.
Babu, your
From an
voice is very low. I'm so sorry. I can't understand what you're saying. Just little
Okay,
loud.
in other words, the user story, you meant to say the approach to acquire the details of requirement.
It's not approach. This is the actual in detail requirement. it's not approach also. It is basically the requirements that are given. Those are mentioned in detailed format, and all those requirements itself are called as user stories. Set
Okay.
of requirements or a requirement. Okay.
Got it. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So this is basically just a terminology that we use in Scrum. But yeah, it's a good to know thing. Rather, you should be knowing. Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Now, I'll just request Babu to continue reading this, please. Yeah.
Sure. Sprint planning. During sprint, no features are added and the sprint goals do not change. The only
Okay.
exception to this is if the team finishes a sprint early. Daily stand up in a sprint. The daily scrum, also known as the daily stand up or daily scrum, during which team members synchronize effort. Daily scrums enable team members to ensure the right things are being worked on by the right people at the right time.
Yes. Now we've learned about the sprint planning and now we have moved to during sprint time. Okay. So remember, I've taken this in very much detail because this is what the actual work is in Agile. So what happens? So now we are past the planning phase and we are actually into implementation or in between the sprint. So that time what happens, So they are saying basically no features or no additional requirements are added, but then there's an exception if the team finishes their work early, which is quite rare. And another exception which is not mentioned, but it goes without saying is if customer prioritizes something and which has to be delivered early or in this sprint or on priority, that is added. Okay, so these are some things which are not mentioned anywhere, but they go as per the understanding. So yes, if you finish your task early or before timelines, then you can definitely take additional work. Or if customer comes and share something that this is very critical and very important and we would like to have this delivery as well. So yeah, so and again, you don't have to agree upfront. There will be a discussion. There will be first of all a review of that requirement. What is the cost, time and effort involved to develop that? If that is within our budget and limits, we go ahead. If it is not, then we have to take it, we run it through via our Scrum Master and product owner and then get back to the customer. Okay. So this is what it is. And daily stand up, I think now everybody is aware of. So yes, because we share those 3 questions, everybody knows that everybody means the entire team understands that what everybody is working on. If they have some similar work related doubt, they know whom to approach, or if anybody has any doubts or any roadblocks and queries, they ask in this forum, and everything is addressed by others. So yes, that is what it is when I say daily scrum enables team members to ensure the right things are being worked upon by the right people at the right time. So simply means we know what is the customer priority is, we know what you're working on, and we know when you'll be able to finish it roughly. So everybody is in sync, nobody can't say that I'm not aware what is happening, because daily these stand-up meetings are there and everybody's work is being discussed in a flash, rather in a very limited manner, but it is a very effective manner. Okay, you don't have these lengthy, boring meetings, but we have a very interesting, effective, short meetings describing what you worked on, what are you planning to work on, and if you have any hindrances or any things to highlight. Okay, guys, this we have already learned quite a few times, but this comes in a different fashion in in earlier planning and now in sprint planning. Yes. Now, this is the same thing, but in an elaborative manner. Yeah, Akhil, can you read these 3 questions first and then we go to the first paragraph, please? Akhil?
So the question, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, these
struggling.
questions read out first because these are what I was just explaining, and then you can go to this paragraph. Yeah.
So each person on the team is tasked to answer 3 simple questions. What did I do yesterday to help achieve the sprint goal? What will I do today to achieve the sprint goal? What, if anything, is impending or impeding or blocking progress towards the sprint goal?
Absolutely right. Let me take a moment here. So yeah, Shoiba, Nabila, Babu, Akhil, are you clear? This is what we have been talking from last 2 sessions. What you have got
Stand-up meeting.
planning to work on, and if there are any roadblocks or impediments, we can have a discussion on that. Okay, so this is as simple as it sounds. There is no other agenda in this. Okay, okay, go Akhil, please go ahead with the paragraph.
Every morning of the sprint, the project team gets together for a short daily stand-up meeting, which is under 15 minutes. This meeting takes place at the same time every day and includes everyone on the project. Everyone stands up for the meeting to keep everyone focused and to keep the meeting short. Often a timer is set so that the meeting does not run long.
Okay, this is an interesting part. I have never seen a timer, but yeah, your watch is quite fine enough. If you're gathering at around 10 a.m., so by 10:15, everybody should dissolve and go back to their work. So yes, and stand-up meetings, as I earlier also mentioned, yes, people actually, stand during these meetings. Nobody sits, and that's why because you're standing, you know how to cut it short, and you don't, invest or rather waste too much time in this. Okay, you know what you are here to discuss, and you discuss it, and then you're good to go. That is what it means. Fine. Okay, now this is a more elaborative this. So these 3 questions allows the transparency. Everybody knows what they're working on. Everyone in the team is in the loop, means everybody is involved, they know. And the answers make people accountable for what they say they will deliver. Okay, now this is the important part. When you kind of share this in a forum or in a meeting, you know you are responsible for it, and you definitely work on it and complete. Now this is an implied meaning into it. Yeah. So the results of these meetings are typically shared with the clients. So not all and every meeting, yeah, but the important meetings, yes. Well, many a times even clients are also part in this meeting. They join by video conferencing. In our case, they used to join by video or at least audio conferencing. And yeah, this daily communication makes sure that everybody is together and everybody is responsible, and they are holding up the team. So your team is together in this work, and they are comfortable into what they're doing. Fine. So
Yes.
I think this is repetitive, and this is quite close to what we have been already studying. Okay, so I know, but these things are important. That's why I have these many slides. Now this is also very nice. What I've done since we last met, like since from yesterday's meeting, what I've done, this is what I plan to do today. This is what I'm planning to do today, my today's task. And these are the obstacles I have encountered. Don't you think these are very valid question and answers? Give me your input. What do you feel? Is this sufficient, or you would have added some more points, or how it is? Yeah. What do you feel?
I think this is sufficient.
Sorry, Babu, I couldn't hear you.
I think this is sufficient, I believe.
Yeah, it's sufficient, right? Because in such
Yes.
a set, you feel it's sufficient. Okay. Shoiba?
Yeah, this is these 3 are the main questions we do in all meetings. What we have done, what we are facing, and what we will plan to encounters to remove all the obstacles.
Yes, right. What about Akhil and Nabila? They agree?
Very, very valid. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, Nabila, you also? Okay, assuming she's listening to us. So yes, guys, see, you might have some more questions now. I want to elaborate my work. I want to give presentation. I want to add some more details, but this is not required in Agile setup. till the time everybody has transparency of what you're working on and how you're working on, I go. There should not be any other additional detail to be shared because we are really short on time. Everything is going ahead in a very, very fast manner or very, time oriented or time restricted manner. So better you have these meetings where your details are shared and you also get to understand from others what they're working on. So in case you have some similar task in hand or if you have faced some similar problems, you can always go back and listen to that. Okay. This is again in short, what is it? It's a time box thing. It's broken into small and consistent time interval and as short as a few days and as long as 4 weeks. Yeah, so it can be a 1 week or 4 weeks and can call a sprint goal a project itself due to start and finish a recorded case. So basically, it's also an individual sprint is also a project because you're ultimately delivering something in that. Okay, so this is how it goes. And I think we have come towards the end of the session. Yes. We will also learn this in more detail from other terminology point of view in the next session. But guys, try to understand today I have dedicated this entire session for sprint planning because tomorrow when you will join as a business analyst in Agile setup, that time this is what will be your day in day out activity. Okay. Now, that we even provide project support and then that time also this is what all is taken consider, what kind of projects you have in your company, what are the details, who is the Scrum Master or, who is in development team, what is their sprint duration, 4 weeks, 2 weeks and everything. So how their typical day looks like and all these things are mentioned. So this is how it is. We are in a very strict timelines and everybody is skilled, everybody is correlated, everybody trusts each other and product backlog is like the Gita, Bible, Quran, wherein you have all the requirements and all the user stories mentioned and only product owner can manage that and it's always advisable to have one product backlog instead of multiples and it's always recommended and it's rather it is restricted access only to product owner. Okay, so all these things in a nutshell for your understanding. So any doubts anybody has, I'll be more than happy to answer that. Yeah.
No doubts.
No doubt, everybody understood. I know you have understood because it is that easy. But yeah, still, and even if not, you can definitely ask in the next session or message me. Okay.
Sure.
So basically, these things are quite easy to understand. But then try thinking all this from Agile point of view. And that is where the beauty lies, time bound and you have this customer intervention, you have this sprint review, sprint retrospective, all these meetings are very crucial from this point of view. That is why. Fine. So I think we are good to close our session for today. So before closing, yes, one liner or one word for today's session, starting with Babu.
Yes. Thank you. And today's session was interesting as always. And I felt most of them are repetitive because we learned on the earlier session, but it's still a good thing that we can recap again.
There are some new keywords like user stories and time bound and cross functional. These are like the keywords. Okay, if you're not written, please write it down. That's why I have this dedicated session today. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So Babu, just take somebody's name from the this meeting.
Shoiba.
Yeah, Shoiba, over to you.
Yeah, it was very very detailed and a new concept, new word
Right.
like time boxed. You have told,
Yes.
yeah, and detail of crumbs planning. It was very quite
Definitely in
interesting today.
detail.
Yeah, today's class was very interesting. Like,
Thank
yeah,
you so much, Shoiba. Please,
yeah.
please nominate someone. I think Nabila can't talk.
Nabila. Okay,
Nabila
then
can
Akhil.
message.
Okay,
Yeah, Nabila,
Akhil.
you can message, please, dear. Yeah, Akhil, over to you.
Oh, Akhil also can't talk, I think.
No, Akhil can. I think Akhil was talking. Akhil, you have
My
to
phone.
you're
No,
on mute.
he just text my message. My phone is charging. I can hear, but I can't talk.
1 second. Okay, again. Okay, fine, not an issue. So Akhil and Amila from here also, your side, I assume you found this interesting enough. If you guys have any doubts, please reach out to me. And for me, today's session was super interactive as always, as you guys were asking right question at the right time. So I'll encourage you to, I'll share this recording today once I finish, once I upload this. So the earlier session and today's session, please watch in continuation because we have continued the earlier topic and we've finished this. And next time we'll learn something different in more detail. Okay. So thank
Okay.
you for your time and your dedication. We'll meet in the next session. If you have any doubts, feel free. I have not seen any videos yet, which I was also
Yeah.
supposed to share from other team. I will share, but please at least start making at least 1 minute video with your introduction. Hi, I am Shoiba. I am from this BS Scrum PO batch, safe batch, and we are learning. In today's session, you can talk so much about only about sprint planning. So there are so that you can easily talk which are not so technical, which are easy for you to share on the video. So yes, feel free and please make videos, and I hope you're making your notes for your understanding. Okay.
Okay.
So so much always for being so cooperative, and it's fine, Akhil. No, you don't need to apologize. We all have this technical glitches some or the other time. Today also, I myself face this glitch. That's why I messaged that we'll start. And thank you for the cooperation. And see you in the next session. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Good night. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Good night.
Bye.
Good night. Good morning.
Yeah. Good night to you. Bye.
Bye. Mom.